Alright, folks, you know when you are actually in your late 20s, you've got 2 rings on your finger, the littlest things still overwhelm you, and you just want to hide under a blanket with a huge comforting bowl of MSG filled instant noodles, gummy bears on the side, and you just want to go back to feeling like a snotty 7-year-old, even though you are very much an adult and your taxes are waiting. Yeah, I've been feeling like that a lot in my adulthood, and these are just some of the films that allow me to feel like a snotty 7-year-old, even though I am very much an adult, and I just want to feel some comfort. And most of the themes of these movies and series are about family, because honestly, I have Saturn in my 4th house. My whole life, I have always struggled with my relationship with my family. To be more specific, my parents. So these are the films that actually make me feel so seen, that makes my inner child just want to cry, but like in a really comforting and like someone is coming to the rescue and giving you a big old hug. That kind of cry, okay? Let's just fucking get into it. I'm actually gonna chill on my couch for this one. Let's start with the actual when you want a teddy bear soup and blanket category. First one is a pretty fucking obvious one, but it's Spirited Away. Spirited Away is about basically this child called Chihiro, based in Japan because it's anime. It's by Studio Ghibli. I don't know if this is way too fucking obvious, but we're just gonna go with it because it's so fucking comforting, and I keep telling myself that Spirited Away is not my favorite film because everyone says that. Like, I watch it when I want to cry. I watch it because I want to relive my childhood and feel like I actually have a different childhood, a more comforting one where someone does actually comfort me when I'm feeling all these big feelings, uncomfortable, painful feelings, just because I'm a fucking human. That is basically how it feels to be watching this film. So that is why I love Spirited Away when I just want to fucking cry. There is a very specific scene which probably is just like 2-3 minutes of the whole film, which is quite long, but I put it on just for that scene because it's so comforting. It's like when Chihiro is like crouching and squatting on the floor, and Haku, let's just say he's a friend in this new world that Chihiro got transported in because she's moving with her parents, and she just kind of got transported into another dimension. And so Haku is one of the, let's say, friends that she kind of made in this other dimension, other world. And he was just like there beside her, not really saying anything, just giving her some food while she cries. And that is just fucking comforting because living in this kind of world, living in the family that I fucking lived in, I was not allowed to cry. So when there is an example of like, oh, actually it is okay to cry because I'm really fucking sensitive, that's just comforting. You know what I mean? So number 2 is This Is Us. Also another one when I just want to cry. I already told you this, but the common thread here, it is about feelings. It is about family. This Is Us is about like intergenerational, I was gonna say trauma, but it's not really about trauma, but it's a series, right? The first episode is so fucking good because it tells all these different stories of different people's lives, and then you will see how they all kind of weave together. Just as a little spoiler, they're like you just understand that they're all family, but like it's just done in such an interesting way, and it just makes you realize how beautiful life is. And that is honestly one of my favorite things to watch. Super emotional, super fucking beautiful. It's just like really beautifully shot. The music complements the whole vibe so much, and it just feels like you are constantly in this golden hour. You know, when you're in golden hour and like you just want this to be how life is for fucking ever, but obviously it's gonna end. This series kind of feels like a prolonged golden hour. Not just an hour, but like a golden week. That is so fucking lame. Number 3 is Matilda. Now, Matilda is about this magical child. I think she's a witch. Like, her parents are fucking horrible. And I don't like to stereotype people. I really truly believe that there is no such thing as like good people and bad people. I do personally believe that every human is good. It's just that we learn all these really unhealthy coping mechanisms. We experience trauma. We don't know how to face those things because no one fucking taught us how to do that. So that's why dysfunctional behavior. Anyway, I don't know why I'm giving you a fucking psychology lecture when I'm just fucking recommending you some films or series. Anyway, so Matilda is a child who gets treated really, really badly by the adults in her life that are supposed to be caring for her. It's one of the films that I would put on when I just feel like a fucking child. It is so comforting because there is a figure in the film. If you have experienced verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and you have felt really hopeless, you feel like you're damaged goods, this is the film to watch. And it makes you feel really a little bit more hopeful about society, about yourself, about your own life. Sometimes I do think that you just need that one person in your life that believes in you, that really cares about you. You can change other people's lives if you believe in them. So that is really fucking comforting, is it not? So now let us go on to the angsty and depressed mood. We have BoJack Horseman. So BoJack is actually a horse. So he was really famous. He's like an actor in the 90s. He has like this huge hit sitcom, and he's still really rich because that's just how much money he made. But now that, you know, it's like, I think it's set in the 2000s. Now he doesn't have that fame anymore. He doesn't really have any jobs, I think, in recent years. And he's a horse who has depression. And it's like a weird world where there's like animals but also humans, but they're just kind of like living together, and it's not really addressed. Like, I don't know why it's like that, but it is. I put it on when I was miserable in my corporate job, still living in my parents' house, and it just makes me feel so seen. It feels like my inner world is being reflected, and that actually feels good. So, next one is Lady Bird. So, Lady Bird is a teenager living in Sacramento where nothing really ever happens. It's not the first scene, but the movie essentially opens with her having an argument with her mum in the car, and her just opening the door in a moving car, and she fell out and she broke her arm, obviously. So it's a good movie to watch if you also have a really complicated relationship with your mum. Again, these movies really just reflect my own experiences, and that's why it's like comforting for me. It feels really indie. It feels really, and that is also comforting for me because that's something that I really enjoyed as a teenager myself. We love familiarity. That is comforting. We're fucking humans at the end of the day, even though I have really worked so hard to reprogram my brain and heal from my childhood wounds and all that shit. I'm still a human. I still have a fucking brain, and that's how brains work. And now, on to the third category of films and series. Funny, but with comforting undertones. The first one has to be Avatar: The Last Airbender. It is made for children. I was fucking obsessed with this series when it kind of just came out, and now as an adult, holy fucking shit, this is for you spiritual girlies out there, which I am one of them. I am you. Okay, if you are a spiritual girly. Avatar, it is about this group of children. There's this one person, Avatar Aang. He's the one who can bring balance to the world with all 4 elements. So there are airbenders, firebenders, waterbenders, earthbenders. I watched like half of it as a child, and then I watched it again as an adult with my husband. It was a fucking spiritual experience. Not just for me, but also my husband, who doesn't give a shit about spirituality. It is so comforting because, honestly, it is mostly because I really relate to Zuko. The hottie slash bad guy, I guess. See, I don't know what to call these people because I really don't believe in like bad and good and evil and villains and whatever, but I guess he's portrayed as the villain. You see so much growth in not just him, but all of the characters in the whole series. I really can't believe it's made for children. The things that you fucking learn even as an adult in this child's film. There's actually a lot of spiritual elements. As a tarot reader, I'm literally learning things about the elements because all these 4 elements are really important in like tarot and astrology and things like that, and I genuinely pull out my phone and write down some notes. They have so much depth to the characters, and their backstories are so well fleshed out. All the archetypes that you see in this film is just so reflective of real life, especially again if you are also struggling with your family. It brings me hope because I really did live most of my childhood, my teenagehood, as a young person, feeling really incapable, feeling really hopeless. It's a work of art. It honestly is. Kim's Convenience next. Kim's Convenience, I think, is so fucking underrated. It's about a Korean family who has a convenience store. I think they're based in Toronto. It makes me laugh out loud, and I don't know about you, but I don't think it happens very often. It's something that I can watch with literally anyone in a sense, because the humor, I think, touches a lot of people. You know, sometimes humor can be really specific. The characters are all very endearing, and again, with that progression, you can really see their growth as people, as characters, as a family. Again, it's like one of those series that has slow gratification. I mean, it has instant gratification in a way because it's funny, but then the messages, the undertone of the whole story is so comforting. If you have an Asian family, I think especially, you would really be able to relate, and like just life as someone who has Asian parents, and not just the Asian part, I guess, but like as someone who has lived most of their adult life in the Western world, in a white dominant city, country, and as parents who still have Eastern culture, values, and things like that. And just that clash, right? That clash of cultures, even though you're in the same system of the family. And then fucking Schitt's Creek, okay? The cream of the crop. The hype is real. I don't know why it has taken me so long to watch this series. The honor that I have to be able to witness this in my own home. It's about a rich family. Again, I relate to that. Well, kind of. It's different circumstances, but anyway. It's about a rich family, like really fucking rich, who went bankrupt, and everything that they have has been taken away from them, and all they have is like this little town that the parents has bought, so they own the town, and so they had to move to a motel in like a really small town called Schitt's Creek. So it tells the story of this family trying to get by. You would think that it's about like them trying to get out of the town, but you see them having to, like accept reality that, this is their life now. But it's also just, I'm gonna use the term endearing a lot, but it's also very endearing. You see, again, the growth of the characters. They're so uncomfortable with feelings, and they're always like joking around, but then there's always these like moments, usually towards the end of the season, where they're just being so sweet and like, oh my god, this is just what life is about, and like this is what relationships are about. It's really heartwarming, I think, this series, even though it's very humorous. And then there's also fucking Jane the Virgin, okay? I just want to say, do not judge a film, a series, this is a series, by its cover. Like, I was not very attracted to it, but then when I watched it, oh my fucking god, again, it's so beautiful. But it is about like a young woman named Jane who got fucking pregnant even though she's never had sex before. And so it follows the life of her, and also like her family is very much like intertwined into this, and she meets like this really hot guy, and you see it's not just about that, it's not about hot guys, okay? But again, they are are they Mexican? I fucking forgot. I feel so ashamed for not knowing this, even though Jane the Virgin is literally like again, also top 5. It's about like living in the Western world as a person of color. I think it's a huge theme, and like they really show certain messages. Again, I can't really talk about these things though, because I want you to watch them and I don't want you to get spoiled. I've just never really heard about all these ideas and values, and I wish I heard them when I was younger, to know about all the possibilities that like life doesn't have to be a certain way, it doesn't have to look like ABC or whatever. Like it can look different ways, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, again, with the good and the bad. But thank you so much for watching this really chaotic video. I really hope that you enjoyed all these recommendations. Please let me know in the comments down below if you love them too, or maybe you're interested in any of these things. Please let me know. And then if you watched them and you really enjoyed them, I would also love to hear from you again. Please subscribe if you want more comforting words and just life as a fucking adult living with the imprints of trauma. Then subscribe.